Okay, friends, here we are, ready for lesson 38. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. This is really playing off our last lesson together, isn't it? This idea that we think that things that happen to us or ways that we respond or behave to something locks us into a lower vibration or locks us into some kind of like personality default. And this lesson is here to, again, reprogram that coding and to dissolve it once and for all. And even though it is a lesson that we continue to practice, just remember that every time you practice it's clearing away cobwebs, it's clearing away patterning. So the more that we are able to remember the lesson during the day, to state the lesson, sometimes you might put it on your refrigerator, on a bathroom mirror, on a whiteboard in your house. That can be really helpful to just continue to remind you to be in relationship to these lessons. So I'm going to read this one and then give more of a reflection after. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. Your holiness reverses all the laws of the world. It is beyond every restriction of time, space, distance, and limits of any kind. Your holiness is totally unlimited in its power because it establishes you as a son of God, at one with the mind of his creator. Through your holiness, the power of God is made manifest. Through your holiness, the power of God is made available. And there is nothing the power of God cannot do. Your holiness then can remove all pain, can end all sorrow, and can solve all problems. It can do so in connection with yourself and with anyone else. It is equal in its power to help anyone because it is equal in its power to save anyone. If you are holy, so is everything God created. You are holy because all things he created are holy, and all things he created are holy because you are. In today's exercises, we will apply the power of your holiness to all problems, difficulties, or suffering in any form that you happen to think of, in yourself or in someone else. We will make no distinctions because there are no distinctions. In the 4 longer practice periods, each preferably to last a full 5 minutes, repeat the idea for today, close your eyes, and then search your mind for any sense of loss or unhappiness of any kind as you see it. Try to make as little distinction as possible between a situation that is difficult for you, this is big, and one that is difficult for someone else. Identify the situation specifically and also the name of the person concerned. Use this form in applying the idea for today. In the situation in which I see myself, there is nothing that my holiness cannot do. In the situation in which sees himself, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. From time to time, you may want to vary this procedure and add some relevant thoughts of your own. You might like, for example, to include thoughts such as, there is nothing my holiness cannot do because the power of God lies in it. Introduce whatever variations appeal to you, but keep the exercises focused on the theme, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. The purpose of today's exercises is to begin to instill in you a sense that you have dominion over all things because of what you are. In the frequent shorter applications, apply the idea in its original form unless a specific problem concerning you or someone else arises or comes to mind. In that event, use the more specific form in applying the idea to it. I'm going to take a sip of my tea. This is another just very impactful lesson here because it's basically saying there is nothing that your holiness cannot do, right? It's saying whatever situation you're in, whatever problem you perceive, your perception and your holiness will solve it. There is nothing that your holiness cannot do. It's so important for us to remember that we are applying the power of our holiness to all of our problems, difficulties, or suffering in any form so that we can dissolve it. I think that sometimes we think we are locked in to our perceptions. We're locked into our idea about who we are. And a lot of that is based on our experience in life, right? So it's like this happened, and so then that happened, and so I'm this way because of that. This is dissolving that. It's trying to break down those constructs. It's saying there is nothing your holiness cannot do because the power of God lies in it. When you feel triggered by someone specifically, you can use the line directly for that. You know, so much suffering can be dissolved by using these lessons. Just recently going through, life stuff, right? Running my own business. I have a family. I've recently traveled. I mean, there's just so many moving parts to life. And the Course in Miracles workbook lessons are asking us to create space for 5 to 10 minutes in the morning to choose a theme, to contemplate a higher code, a higher perception, a mantra, an idea, a universal principle. And I notice in my own life, like when, for example, if there's travel and I get a little bit off my own schedule or routine, it's almost like my mind starts to shut down again. My heart starts to shut down again. I think things are real that are not real. They're real in the sense that they're exposing an aspect of my personality that needs to be deconstructed. That's the only reality we give it. It's not permanent. And so, what is permanent, what is eternal, is what we call reality in this mindset from A Course in Miracles. So, when you're going through different things, it's important to just recommit to your lessons, even if you get off track. And so much suffering, that's really the purpose of doing them, can be avoided when you're working with these lessons. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. About 2 days ago would have been really, really an important lesson to remember and to apply to what was occurring in my life, and to spare you all the details. It doesn't really matter the circumstance. We're all dealing with different circumstances, but the themes are the same. So remind yourself to practice this lesson today. It's very powerful. It's interesting here too that the Course is saying to make as little distinction as possible between a situation that is difficult for you and one that is difficult for someone else. And here's a nuance I really want to bring your attention to. It is our belief in someone else's connection to their own divinity that supports them in getting there faster. What does that mean? That means if I think this is hard for them to figure out, it's almost like a curse. It's like, you're never going to figure this out. Instead of saying, if it's difficult for me, it's likely difficult for them. There's nothing my holiness cannot do. There is nothing their holiness cannot do. You're literally giving people permission to change out of their adapted personalities. Now, will they? Who knows? That's their call. They're autonomous. They get to choose when, where, and if they decide to make those changes. But if I am locked in, if I lock someone into my version of them, and I think they're not getting it, and I keep going in that thought system, I am binding myself to that as well. Because remember, there's only one of us. So if I'm having those thoughts, ideas are not leaving their source. I have to feel those. So it's like an extra added benefit to hold the highest version of another person through any difficult situation. Okay? See you in the next lesson. Happy practicing.